and optimized. So I think we're going to see more and more of that come in the coming months, and I think that's going to really open up a lot of opportunity for us to optimize what these experiences are.
I think the one thing I always point to is really like based in consumer behavior, which is still, a lot of consumer research shows that the number one way users discover apps is not from the store and browsing, and it's not from ads, despite $20 billion spent on user acquisition around the world. It's word of mouth and it's talking. And so instant apps, for me, I'm really excited that they unlock that they can be shareable experiences, that you can get. It can be a trial on the store if you want to drive traffic to the store, and that's your conversion funnel. But it really opens things up much broader than the store itself, to allow someone to experience a native app and remove the steps of even going to the store.
Yeah, so I think for us, our company mission is always about breaking down cultural language barriers through our content. So we always have a very global view. So one thing that I mentioned earlier is that I was very excited about all the potential with emerging markets. So in fact, instant app is a very, very good fit for that market, because a lot of the devices, they might not be as powerful, they don't have as much memory size or storage. So instant app is turned out to be a very, very good use case for that kind of market. And you have opportunity to reach out to a much broader set of users. And you have basically a new generation of users who are coming online first time through mobile devices. They don't even have a PC or Mac. For them, mobile is really the only thing or the first thing that they would experience online experience. So I'm super excited about that. And I think it's really about how you can actually use our app, our content to help enrich lives, make lives better, bring happiness to a much broader set of users that you can ever get to.
So you're in a unique position too, I guess, Alex, around specifically around you have a website and now you have an app and now you have an instant app. How do you, from a strategy perspective, how do you think about the three of those things?
Yeah, I think it's a very good question. I think so for some developers, they don't even have a website, right? They don't care about that. In fact, I think Google actually relaxed the restrictions to allow developers to not have a website, right? So not requiring the URL. So I think for us, we always think of that as that we want to create the best seamless experience. So we always put more emphasis on apps, mobile apps, of course, TV apps as well. So for us, even though we have a responsive website, we think of that as more to some extent, an acquisition channel. So it's really to catch all the users coming through SEO and then reaching the website, but want to lead them to the mobile apps or the apps as fast as we can. And that's why instant app turned out to be a very good mechanism, working far better than mobile app, web, as I mentioned earlier. So that's why I think even though we have multiple properties, but we really think of instant app as a very strategic place to allow us to really get to those high quality users.
Cool. The App Store from Apple has given publishers a lot of opportunity to enrich their pages and the content. Maybe Vanessa, talk about what do you think Apple is going to do in this space?
I mean, I would love to see something like this come to the App Store again. I really believe that this is a powerful tool for acquisition, and I think really allowing our players to engage with our game before they commit to that install. If you think about games, they're getting larger and larger and larger, and so really allowing somebody to experience it before they're committing to a 1, 2, 3 gigabyte download, I think is something that will be really valuable in terms of driving acquisition.
Cool. You've all kind of lived through the early days of instant apps. What's one piece of practical advice that you'd give somebody here who is just getting started on instant apps?
I think I will start. I think it's super important to be clear about your goals. Mm-hmm. So what do you want the instant app to achieve? And focus on that so that you can be very clear about what kind of scenarios you want to address and what kind of code or what kind of modules you want to bring in. Because a big part of that is really about providing a very, very seamless, very fast, smooth experience for your users, and then getting them hooked into your content or your core functionality. So I think it's really important for you to be clear about that and then focusing your design around that.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. It's all about kind of setting that KPI and then really designing the experience to kind of achieve that goal.
Yeah, I mean, I think back to a year ago in instant apps where there wasn't much data around instant apps. There wasn't much, lots of creative ideas. And I think, the world of playable ads is probably like the place where people experienced you know, a lot of different experiences, but they weren't necessarily apps. They weren't necessarily instant experiences. And I think you know, it's important to understand that an instant app performs differently in all the different places. So whether that's on the store or a product page, where consumers expect it to be a part of your product, or whether it shows up as an ad, or whether it shows up in SMS or a text from a friend. Those are all kind of different use cases of what the creative should look like. And today there is a lot of data around, you know, how you can tailor, how you can test those different experiences to really help you, you know, build whatever your goal is.
Cool. So Vanessa, you've got a huge library of titles. How, you know, are you experimenting with different ones and doing different things? Maybe talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we have 4 instant experiences live right now. We've tested a lot of things. So with Panda Pop, we kind of didn't know what to expect since it was so early on. So we really just focused on kind of the first 10 levels of the game. What we found was that was a really long experience. So if we are trying to optimize for conversion, we really need to shorten the experience. So I think we've applied a lot of those learnings, and we continue to kind of launch, and I think as we get more capabilities in terms of kind of testing and targeting, that's going to allow us to really kind of fine tune. But right now we're focused on really making the experience like short and super compelling.
Bryan, when you have potential clients come to you and talk and say, hey, tell me about an instant app, and what's your first reaction?
Yeah, I think I just go back to, like, everyone's probably experienced these terrible kind of playable ads that we all get hit with, and there's no X button, and it doesn't even represent the game itself. Like, it's really meant to generate clicks, and that's the pure goal. That I think, you know, instant apps are very, very different. Like, instant apps are a part of the product, like, and really it's not really just the user acquisition team that's concerned about it. It's the product team. It's the team that manages the full app. And I think from the consumer experience, the expectation is you go from, you know, first instant app seconds and minutes into the larger app in a very kind of, you know, seamless way, that it all looks and feels like the same product. I think, you know, that's the ultimate goal from a user experience. And we're starting to see that, you know, instant apps and kind of the parent app, the main app, are starting to, you know, blur those lines and even kind of, you know, deep link back and forth and create more of a seamless experience.
Cool. I don't know if there's anything we're leaving out here that you guys think, some other advice that people might want to hear? Something, if you had to do it over again, what would you do differently?
Yeah, the one thing I would just point out, I mean, you know, similar to Alex, like we've published a lot of case studies with developers with Google. The interesting ways that we've seen instance apps work to kind of lift up user acquisition, to improve retention. So a user who comes to the store page and tries the app before they install it, you know, is 20-30% better retained, is 30% plus more likely to spend money in the app and monetize, whether that's with ads or making purchases. So there is a wealth of data out there, you know, a wealth of kind of case studies. So, you know, find that, you know, case study or those examples that are similar to your app, whether that's a, you know, a subscription-based, IP, freemium, game, non-game. I think, you know, there continues to build a lot of data out there, because no one thing really works for all of them. And I think, you know, that's what's great about this panel, is we have so many different perspectives on what the difference is between different apps and games.
Yeah, I think for me, I think one important thing is really about maintaining a very innovation and experimentation culture. So for example, back to what I said earlier, because we started really early using Instant App as one of the early adopters, so we went through a lot of iterations. So we went through some wrong turns, some of the things that we hack, and then eventually Google fixed it, then found a better solution. So you had a lot of cases like that. So I think it's important for you to have a team that really see this as a valuable learning experience, and they're willing to go through all these iterations. At the end of the day, they didn't feel that they waste a lot of time, but they actually felt that they learned a lot through that, and they also felt that they helped Google create a better platform for the rest of the world. So I think it's important for you to do that. Otherwise, like, people may get demoralized and may feel that they are wasting time. So I think it's really important to continue to do that. And similarly, even as you mentioned about when you continue to build an experience, so there's a lot more for you to experiment with. So you have to try different hooks, different designs, like try to do A/B testing wherever you can, and then see what works, what doesn't work, because every case is different. So you have to be willing to go through all of this.
Awesome. Well, I think that wraps up about the time we have today. So thank you for joining us today, and please join me in thanking the panel.